everyone, and welcome to today's live Zoo to You. I'm Katie, one of the educators here at Stone Zoo, and today I am joined by Jen, who's behind the camera.
Hi!
And today we are so excited to be introducing you to one of our Pueblan milk snakes. His name is Bermuda, and today we're going to be exploring some enrichment that was made specially for our snakes here at the zoo. We're going to be offering Bermuda the opportunity to get some exercise and to explore this new enrichment. It's a really beautiful day outside today. Just like we like to go outside and get some exercise on those really nice days, it's something that we like to offer our animals here at the zoo as well. And first, I want us to talk a little bit about enrichment, what it is and why it's important. Enrichment is anything new or novel that we can provide our animals that will challenge them and encourage them to use their natural behaviors. If you've ever been to Stone Zoo before, you might have noticed some items in our animal exhibits that looked a little out of place. Maybe you've noticed some floating rafts in the otter's pool, or a lot of our primates, like our gibbons and colobus monkeys, will get different plastic buckets. Maybe you've noticed cardboard boxes or paper mache items in with our bears. Those items might look out of place, but they're all placed there purposefully by our zookeepers to encourage natural behaviors. So paper mache boxes with the bears, there might be food hidden in them or hidden in the buckets with our primates. Our otters might be encouraged to explore their pool with different rafts. And today we're going to be providing Bermuda with the opportunity to use some really cool enrichment, explore, and to get some exercise. So this is a pegboard we've made for him. It's made out of plywood and some different birch branches that are all cut to different lengths. So it just adds another element for him to explore. You might also notice, I'll get a little bit closer, that Bermuda is flicking out his tongue. One of the questions we commonly get at the zoo is, what is he doing with his tongue? He's not licking, he's actually using that long forked tongue to smell. So that's one way he's going to navigate this pegboard. You might see him sticking his tongue out. He's just using that to help find his way around. So we'll see if we can get him exploring here. Now, another question we get at the zoo is, how do snakes move? We are able to navigate different things because we have arms and legs to help us, and snakes obviously don't have arms and legs. So he's moving right now by contracting the scales on his belly and pushing himself forward. And this is a type of movement called lateral undulation, and this is how snakes will commonly move around their environment. There he goes. So Pueblan milk snakes are native to the dry, arid desert regions of central Mexico. So areas like Puebla, Morales, and Oaxaca. And you might be able to tell by looking at his body, he doesn't really have good coloring to help him blend into the desert. Typically, animals that are going to be camouflaging in the desert will have shades of brown, tan, maybe some yellow on their body to help them blend into the sand. But you might notice the bright stripes of red, black, and a yellowish white. Those colors are going to stand out. And typically, animals that have really bright body colorings have those colorings as a warning. So that's really common with species that are poisonous, or when it comes to snakes, possibly venomous. But milk snakes are pretty tricky. They have those bright warning colorations without having any venom. So they are a harmless species, but they mimic the venomous coral snake. And this type of mimicry is called Batesian mimicry. And that's where a harmless species will imitate a dangerous species. And that's really beneficial for milk snakes. They have all those same bright warning colors. They're a pretty small species of snake, so that's how they're going to hopefully stay safe from predators. They are still a prey species to animals like coyotes, foxes, some birds of prey like eagles and hawks, but this will help them kind of defend themselves. Now, they look like coral snakes, but there is a way to tell them apart, and that has to do with the order of the bands on their body. So you might notice that Bermuda has black stripes touching red stripes. And in the case of coral snakes, they're going to have those whitish yellow stripes touching black. Now, a lot of people don't like snakes, and there are a lot of reasons for this, but I really love snakes, and I'm hoping that by the end of this chat, you're going to learn more about them and learn to really like snakes as well. One reason why a lot of people don't like snakes is because they're sometimes found in the same areas that people are. So when we grow crops in large fields or when we leave garbage cans outside of our homes, that brings in a lot of animals that are small, furry, they have big ears, and those animals bring in snakes. So when we leave garbage outside, that can bring in some pest species like mice and rats, and that can attract snakes. Snakes are not really interested in us or what we're doing, but because of the way we live, we bring in those prey species and they will prey on them. Now, having snakes around is actually really important for our ecosystems. Since they are predators, they're able to help control those rodent populations so we don't have mice and rats running around everywhere. Mice and rats can carry diseases that can infect people, so having snakes around is really beneficial. Milk snakes are a type of king snake, and that means that they are able to eat and digest venomous snakes. So oftentimes when people are living in areas that have both king snakes and venomous species, they really like having the king snakes in their yard because that means there are likely no venomous snakes around in their yard. In addition to eating rodents and other species of snakes, in their natural habitat, milk snakes will eat other reptiles and amphibians. Here at the zoo, we feed our snakes mice. Our mice come to us frozen from a distributor. Just gonna readjust. Here we go. Our mice come to us frozen from a distributor. We then thaw them out to room temperature, and then we offer them to our snakes. Bermuda is offered one mouse once a week, and he doesn't always eat it. It's pretty common for snakes to go weeks and even months without eating. They're able to slow down a lot of their body processes, especially in the winter, so they don't use a lot of energy up. Since snakes are eating mice, such a large quantity of food at once, they have some really cool adaptations to help them eat. They don't chew their food like we do. They do gulp it down in one big bite. So in order to do that, their mouths need to be able to stretch really, really wide. There's a common misconception that snakes unhinge their jaws. They don't actually unhinge their jaws. Instead, they have really stretchy mouths. So they have some ligaments connecting their top and bottom jaw. And they also have a ligament connecting the middle of their bottom jaw. So when they open their mouth, they're able to open it up and down, just like we do. But they can also open their jaw side to side. And that allows them to eat anything twice the size of their own head or as wide as the widest part of their body. So I'm going to invite all of you at home right now to do a little experiment with me, and we're going to figure out what we could eat if we were a snake. So I'd like you, first let's adjust. So I'd like you to take your hands and place your hands on your hips. This is oftentimes the widest part of our body. Now bring your hands straight up like you are holding a giant cheeseburger. If you were a snake, you could swallow something that big in one gulp. So that would be like us swallowing a watermelon whole without having to chew it. Now we're going to take this chance to answer some questions that we have.
Sure. So Christine would like to know, how long do they live?
That's a great question, Christine. Bermuda is 3 years old, and in human care, milk snakes, just like many other species of snakes, will commonly live into their 20s. There isn't a lot of research about their lifespan in their natural habitat, but it's assumed to be around 10.
Jimmy wants to know if they're endangered or not.
That's a great question, Jimmy. They are considered to be a common species. However, milk snakes are pretty commonly killed by people who mistake them for being venomous coral snakes.
Do they have any bones in their body?
They do have bones. A lot of people, when they see snakes move, they just assume they have no bones in their body, kind of like a worm, but they do. They have lots of very small bones. They have around 300 to 400 rib bones.
Gary would like to know if these guys go in the water often.
That's a great question, Gary. Not very often, since they are from dry, arid regions. I'm assuming there aren't many bodies of water that they could go into, but there are some species of snakes that are pretty commonly found in or near water.
Rebecca would like to know, how do they breathe when they eat something so large?
That's a great question, Rebecca. So when snakes are eating something really, really large, they're actually able to pop out their larynx, I believe. It's either their larynx or their trachea. Do you know
Esophagus?
Esophagus?
I think it's their esophagus.
They can pop it out through the side of their mouth. I'll have to double check that one. But they can actually pop that out while they're still swallowing their food so they can breathe at the same time.
Disha, her 6-year-old, wants to know, how big can they grow?
That's a great question. So Bermuda is around average size. He might grow a little bit more, but for the Pueblan milk snake, average size is around 2 to 4 feet. So this board is 4 feet high, if that kind of gives you an idea of how big they could grow.
Is this type of snake endangered?
They are not endangered. They are considered to be a common species.
Vivian wants to know, why are they called milk snakes?
That's a great question, Vivian. There's a really cool folklore story behind their name. So there is an old story that says that milk snakes were being commonly found inside dairy barns. And so farmers were believing that the milk snakes were going in at night, they were drinking all the milk from the cows and leaving the cows dry. The likelihood of that happening is pretty low, but it is a really cool story. They were probably in the barns because there were some mice in there, so they were being drawn in because of that. But it is a really cool story of how they got their name.
All right, so I think we are just about out of time for today.
All right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. Make sure to check out the Kids Corner on our website for even more crafts and activities. And check back on our page tomorrow at 1:30 for another Zoo to You. Thanks!